database, so we don't have extractions taking too long, but the usage, the extractions usually take a little bit more time than we're going to see here if we have a huge database or comprised of several tables, etc. So the next step is to create a connection to the actual database. Okay. We only need to configure this connection once for each model. And once we've defined our connection, we will see the available schemas from that database connection. I'm using an Oracle database for this presentation. So I have here my database. As you can see, we have here listed several schemas that are available on this database, and we can select one or more schemas for this metadata representation. I'm going to select only this schema, this demo schema. Okay. And we now can create our model. So, as you can see, our model is listed here on the left panel. And before going into the model editing screen, which is the screen where we define the model rules, I'm going to give you an overview just of some of the functionalities present on this main screen. So here we have our models area. Then we have our connections manager, which lists the connections available. And each time we create a new model, we have to define a connection for that model. And then we can manage those connections in this tab. So then we have a backup section, which can be used to manually create a backup of our metadata representation of our model, but also DATAPEERS creates automatic backups when relevant changes are made to the model. Then we have our security tab, which simply is a list of the users that have access to the platform. And we have different types of permissions to access the platform. So currently I'm logged in as an admin. I can do anything on the platform, but we can also create users that can only edit the model, but can't actually perform data extractions and uploads. And we can also create users that can perform those actions, but cannot delete the model or edit the connections, etc. And then simply an About tab. So I'm going to show you how we can edit this model we've just created. So we select the model and we click on this pencil icon. And now we're on the model editing screen. As you can see here on the left, we have several tabs related to the functionalities or the actions we can perform on the model editing screen. I'm going through each one of these tabs, explaining how this works or what's the purpose of each functionality, and then I'm going to go back and actually use some of them so we can have a better understanding of how all this works together. So here in the metadata model tab, we simply have listed all the tables we have within our model. If I double-click a table, I can see additional information about that table. So I have a summary of the table, the number of fields, the number of relations, etc. I can have an actual representation of the fields and the data types of each field. I can see indexes. I can see the relations. I can see also the business rules of this table. And the last tab regards to DATAPEERS functionality. So as we don't have any scrambler defined yet, we don't see anything in this tab yet. Okay, so the next tab is a little bit complex at this point. This is used to create a relation between two different schemas. So say we have two different databases that somehow are connected through, or we want to connect through business logic. We can create a virtual relation between those two models or between two specific tables within DATAPEERS. So this is a little bit more complex at this point, but simply is used to create a virtual representation of a relation between two distinct databases. Then we have our model parameters tab, and this is used to create a filtering parameter that will be applied to a certain field within a certain table. We can create as many model parameters as we like, and then in the extraction process we can define filtering values for this parameter. So say we want to filter a client's table for a specific name, we can create a parameter in the name column of that table, and then when we're going to run our data extraction, we define the value for the name we're looking for, and DATAPEERS will only extract the values that match this filtering condition. I will come back to these functionalities to actually use them. So now we have the Relations tab, which is another way of seeing the representation I showed you earlier within this People tab with the Relations representation. So here we can see the relations listed in another way, but if I double click, the visual result will be the same. So this is another path to the same information. It's just a shortcut to get to the relations of our model. And also we can edit some behaviors of these relations that will later be applied when we're using an extraction. So the next tab is very straightforward. If we have a set of tables like temporary data or logging data or replication tables that we want to ignore in our extraction, we can define them here, and DATAPEERS later will ignore those tables, will not extract them, and they will not be available for upload. Okay, so the Business Rules tab is somehow the same as the Relations tab, so it's just a shortcut to get to the same information. We have here in our metadata representation of the table under Business Rules, But if we double click it, we can see additional information about this rule. It's the same as we can see here if we double click on the business rule row. So it's just a shortcut to get to the same information. And then the last two tabs are related, and this is DATAPEERS specific functionalities. So here in the dictionaries, actually I'm going to explain first what is the scrambler, because the scrambler uses dictionaries, so I think it will be clear if I explain this starting from the scrambler. So the scrambler functionality, we can use it in the same way as we use a model parameter. So we can define a scrambler for a specific column in a specific table. So, for example, if we have a client table which has a column which is an account number, for example, if we're talking for an insurance company or a bank, and we want to mask that specific column, we define a scrambler for that column inside a table. And DATAPEERS offers a wide variety of scrambling rules. We can do simply a random value shuffle, so we can start with the original values and simply shuffle them across all rows. We can generate random data for those rows, for example, a random number generator or a random string generator. And we can also use more complex rules, such as using a dictionary. And for that, we have the Dictionaries tab, where we can define a dictionary. And a dictionary simply is a set of possible values that can be used for a scrambler. So say we want to scramble a name column for the names of our clients. We can define a dictionary with 100 fake names, and then we can say to the scrambler, okay, as a scrambling rule, use our dictionary, and all the values that will be used in the extraction will come from the dictionary. So this is just a quick overview of all the functionalities in the model editing screen. Maybe it's a little bit too much information for a first contact, but I think this can give you an idea of what we can do with this tool. I don't know if you have any questions at this moment, or if I can proceed. Okay, I think we're good. So I'm going to actually show you some of the functionalities I've taught. So the first thing I want to do is to create a model parameter, so we can later use a filtering condition in an extraction. So I have here all the tables I've imported to my metadata model, and I'm going to use the people table. And as you can see here on the right, we have a list of all the columns of this table. And I want to create a filter in this data column, which is a date. And I have to name this model parameter. So this is a date filtering parameter. Okay, and as you can see here on the left, we have our model parameter listed, we can create several model parameters within this metadata model. So now we've created this parameter. How can we use it? So to do an extraction, we have to go back to the main screen. Remember, this is just the model editing screen where we define our extraction rules. To perform actual extractions, we have to come back to the main screen, and we're going to double-click our model, and this will show us the extractions screen, or the extractions tab. And as you can see, DATAPEERS creates a default extraction profile, and as you can see in the description, this is a full extractor. This means that if we run this extraction, all the data from the original database will be extracted. So we will create an exact copy of the database that we can later use for uploading to several environments. So I don't want to do this. I want to create a new profile. And I have to name this profile, and I will say this is a model parameter profile. And I'm going to use the default model connection, which is the connection I defined earlier. And here in the extraction parameters, I have listed the parameter I've defined earlier in the editing screen. So, and at this point, I want to define a specific value for the extraction. I can also ignore a parameter, so if I have several parameters defined and I want to, in each extraction, use a subset of those parameters, I can ignore the others. And I also can say, okay, ask me what's the value of the parameter when I actually start the extraction. I'm going just to define the value. And to do this, I think my connection went down. Let me see what happened here. I think maybe this was a connection problem. Let me log in again in DATAPEERS. Okay. Okay, so not a lot of work lost. So the default connection, profile, and I'm going to define the value. Okay. So this new screen that popped up is an expression editor screen. So we can create a rule, a filtering rule to use our parameter. So here on the right, I have logical expressions, and I will just say that I want a date that is greater than a value I want to set. So I use this greater than expression, and here on the left, I have the column for which I have created the model parameter. I'm going to select that as the first expression, and the second expression I want to use an actual date. So I will double click here on the date, and I will define a value for it, and I'll say that I want this to be greater than the 6th of October. So this expressions editor screen takes a while to get used to, but it's really powerful, the expressions we can create to filter our parameters. So I have my expression created, and I'm going to confirm and create this new profile. Before I do that, let me just say this last option here, which can be set to extract full data or do not extract full data, is for the user to say to DATAPEERS what DATAPEERS should do in the case it encounters a table that isn't in any way related to this filtering condition. So if we have a table that doesn't have a relation to the table we're applying this filter, what should DATAPEERS do? It should extract all the data in those tables or do not extract them. So this is an additional option that we have in our extraction profile. So I've just created this profile, and now we're going to execute it and perform an actual extraction of our database. So in our example, this is again a very small database for demonstration purposes, but this extraction can take several minutes depending on the size of your model, how many tables do you have, or the size of the data you have on your database, and also the filtering rules we're applying. So there are many factors that impact the time that this extraction takes. As you can see in this example, it was very fast, 10 seconds, but in actual production installations, usually it takes a few minutes. So, clicking on the profile we used to create an extraction, we can see here in the History tab that we have an extraction we can use to perform an upload to a testing environment. So I'm going to upload this extraction to a new schema, and then I will show you the original schema and the schema I've just uploaded so we can see the changes. So I'm going to use the same connection. And here I will have a mapping for all the available schemas for this upload. And this shows me a list of empty schemas only, so we cannot upload an extraction to a schema that already contains data. That wouldn't be very good, as you would be overwriting data from other schemas. So I'm going to perform the upload action. This also can take several minutes, but in this case, only 5 seconds for this extraction. And clicking in the history of this extraction, we can see the upload history, and we can see here that we've finished a successful upload using this extraction we've created earlier. So now let me just show you what I did have in our original database. So as you can see, this is a very small database with only 5 registries, and you can see here the data column, and if you remember, I've created a parameter to filter these values. So let us check what's the result on the final uploaded table. So we only have 2 values that match our filtering condition for the extraction. If I had performed full extraction, I would have all the 5 registries for this upload. So now I'm going to show you another 2 examples of extractions using the scrambling feature. So these are the 2 main features that usually our clients use and use them most often, which is to create subsets of data using a filtering model parameter, and also to mask data. So now I'm going to create two different examples of data masking in our model. And for that purpose, I'm going to, again, go into the model editing screen. And I'm going to create a scrambler. And I want to create a scrambler here in the people table. I have other tables, they all look the same, so I just want to use this people table, which is simpler, and I want to mask the name of the people in that table. So this is name scrambler, and we can use different types of rules. As I've said earlier, the DATAPEERS offers a wide variety of rules to apply as a scrambling rule. And I'm going to use a vector function, and I'm going to use a random text generator for this first example. And I want to say the length of this string that I'm going to create, and I'm going to say I want the length to be between 1 and 20 characters, and I want to generate unique values for this field. So as you can see, this screen is, I think, it's simple and intuitive to use, and the actual functionality is a little bit more complex, but the usage of the software is simple. So going back a little, I've created a scrambler, and it is listed here in the scrambling tab. And as you can see in our people's metadata table representation, under the scrambler tab down here, we have now listed a scrambler, which didn't appear earlier because we didn't have any scrambler. So I'm going back to the extractions. Actually, what I'm going to do for this example, I'm going to edit this default extraction profile because we have a small number of rows. And I will say that I want to ignore the model parameter I have defined in my model, but I want to use a scrambler. Okay, so what this will do is create full extraction. As you can see here on the type, this will create a full extraction of our data, and also apply all the scrambling rules we have defined, which in this case is just one scrambling rule. I'm going to execute this extraction. This should only take a few seconds. While we're extracting, this usually takes several minutes. We can see the progress of the extraction. We can see relevant information about the extraction, and also any errors that might occur during the extraction or warnings. Okay, so if I select this profile, I have here listed the extraction we've just performed, and I'm going to upload this data to a new empty schema. I'm going to use the same connection. Okay, and I want to upload this to a new empty schema. I've created these demo upload schemas earlier, and there are empty schemas for this purpose. Okay, now, so we're performing an upload with the extraction we've created earlier. And again, in this upload run screen, we can see also any relevant information while the process is running. And also, we didn't have a chance to see because this was only took 4 seconds, but usually this close button while the extraction or the upload is running we can minimize this window and continue our work doing another model extraction or model editing, adding more rules while this extraction or upload runs in the background. Okay, so now as we remember, let me just refresh this. Let us see what we did have in our first table. And now we've uploaded to the demo upload 2, and we will see that the names column was replaced by random set of strings. So this is very useful for clients that may have confidential information, usually banking industry, insurances, telecommunications. That type of client has the need for this functionality, and I think DATAPEERS offers great value in this specific functionality because it has a wide range of data masking rules that can be applied to the original data. So just to show you the last schema, I don't have anything on that schema. I could have shown you these schemas prior to the upload, but they were empty schemas, otherwise they wouldn't be listed on DATAPEERS. Okay, so now I'm going to show you one last example, which is just a variation of this scramble I've just created. I'm going to go back to the model editing screen, and I will, I don't know if I want to edit this scrambler. I'm going to edit this scrambler. So I don't want to use a random text generator. I want to use a dictionary to perform the scrambler. So for this purpose, I have to previously create a dictionary. I have CSV file here on my system that has random names for people. So okay, names, dictionary. Okay, let's just do a preview of this. Okay, so as you can see, this is just a very big collection of random names. I can preview more names so we can see. This is a list of many names. I don't know actually how many names I have here on this file. This will do for our example. So I've just created a dictionary, and as you can see, this dictionary has two columns, and the first column is an integer column, and the second is a text column. So now I'm going to edit the scrambler I have defined earlier, and I want to scramble the name column as well, but instead of using a random text generator, I will say, okay, I want to use dictionary shuffle. And what this will do is to go into the dictionary and search for available names and shuffle them and reuse them in our extraction. So here I have to pick the dictionary I want to use for this purpose. Since we only have one, I only have one here, one option. And we want to say the source from the dictionary to be applied, and we want to use the text source. which is the column that actually has the names. Okay, so in case you're wondering, I could also have created another scrambler, and has the model parameters. I can have several model parameters and several scramblers. To keep this presentation simple, I've just edited the same scrambler so we can quickly see the difference between the two extractions, one using the random text generator and the other a dictionary. So since I already have here an extraction profile that is using the scrambling feature, as we can see here in this checkbox, I'm going just to execute the same extraction profile. Also, let me tell you that we can have several extraction profiles for each model, and the features can be combined, as we can see here in the type column. So we can have a subsetter profile, we can have a full extractor profile, we can have a scrambling profile, but we can also join or use together these features. So I can have a subsetter that is also a scrambler. I can apply a filtering rule and a scrambling rule in the same profile, which in result will be applied in the same extraction. So I'm showing you the functionalities in a very simple way, but they can be combined to create more complex extractions. Okay, so I'm going just to execute this extraction. And I want to ignore this filtering parameter and use available data from the dictionary. Okay, these are the defaults. Oh, you can see here the minimize button I've talked about earlier. And okay, our extraction has finished. So if I select this profile, I can see here that now I have two extractions. And we will use the later, and we'll do an upload. Once you've managed to understand the DATAPEERS interface, this becomes very easy to use, very user-friendly, I think. You'll find it very straightforward to perform tests that otherwise would be rather complex. Okay, so remember in the demo upload 3, I didn't have any data. I'm going to just show you that again. We don't have anything on this schema, and I'm going to run this upload. Okay. And now if we go back, and let's see what we have in this database. Okay, so as you can see, I will show you the original names. This is the original database in the demo schema, the people database. The first extraction that we did using a scrambler, we used the random name generator, which created random strings for the name column. But if we want to use something a little bit more complex, we can use the dictionary. And the result is this. In the name column, we have a set of names that isn't the original set of names, but actually the names from our dictionary. And this can be very useful if, for example, we want to create a testing environment that somehow performs in the same way that the production environment, and we don't want to have this strange set of characters in the name column. but we still want to maintain the confidentiality of the original data. So we have here some flexibility in the types of scrambling rules we want to apply to the production database. I think this gives you an overview of what DATAPEERS can do. This is, again, a small database and simple cases for extractions and uploads, but I think it gives you a better idea of what this tool can achieve and how you can use it to improve the replication of your production databases to testing environments, to development environments, and those scenarios where we want to create fast subsets of data that replicate the production database logic, but we don't want to give use to the actual production database. So I'm going to just log out from DATAPEERS and go back to my presentation. After we've seen the DATAPEERS work, I can now I can now talk about some of the benefits of DATAPEERS. I've already talked about some of the benefits during the demo. But as you've seen, DATAPEERS can protect your confidential data or your sensitive data by applying a masking rule to the extractions you perform. Also, DATAPEERS ensures data integrity and the quality of data that you will deliver to testing environments or development environments. And also, as you've seen in the extractions uploads screen, it's very easy to manage several different extractions and several different extractions profiles, and also to perform uploads of any given extraction we performed today or 1 month ago. We have a graphical user interface that's very easy to manage the extractions and uploads we do from our original production database. And this leads me to conclude that DATAPEERS can help you reduce your maintenance costs, because tasks that would usually be very complex and take a lot of time, we can achieve this with a very simple user interface. And we can perform several tasks in a shorter period of time and with fewer resources. I guess this, from my part, concludes this small presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I didn't go too fast in some of the functionalities, and I would like to take this time for any questions you might have regarding the presentation. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I will try to explain it to you. I'm going to talk about DATAPEERS, and first of all, what is DATAPEERS? Antonio already gave an overview about the application, and DATAPEERS aims to solve several problems that often companies face when they want to give access to their databases to third parties for development purposes, or to give an overview of their database model for several reasons. And DATAPEERS can create subsets of the original database in order to fasten the process, and also to mask the confidential data that we have within our organization. I'm going to also talk about DATAPEERS features. How can we use them to achieve those goals? And I will make a small demo with a small database, so we keep things, so we don't take too much time during the presentation. And after you've seen DATAPEERS work, we can come back and see what are the benefits of using this software. What exactly is DATAPEERS? This is a software that is we can access it in a web-based manner. This runs in server-client configuration, and we can configure several connections to databases to model them within the software, to create a metadata representation of our original database, and then we can define several sets of rules to create extractions from that database. Those rules can be, for example, create subsets of a given period of time, to mask confidential data about the client's names or client's account numbers, etc. And we can later upload those subsets of data, those extractions, to a target database, say development database. So DATAPEERS' main features are the database subsetting, which is exactly this example I gave you, of creating a smaller set from the original database. Also data masking, to allow users to give to third parties the original data, but applying masking to the confidential data. DATAPEERS also ensures data integrity. So if we have a model which has certain constraints or certain rules, relations, validations, etc., the DATAPEERS software will ensure that those relations are maintained and the software ensures data integrity on the final subsets, on the final working environments. And also through DATAPEERS, we can easily manage the test data we provide for our development teams or third-party development teams. So now I'm going to make a live demo of the actual software. I don't know if you have any questions at this point, or if I'm going too fast, or.
I think that it's okay, Miguel, and I don't see any question at this moment.
Okay, so now I'm going to change my screen sharing to the actual application. Okay. So this is the login screen for DATAPEERS. As I've said earlier, DATAPEERS works on a client-server installation type. So we can access the application through a web browser. So Here we can see the DATAPEERS main screen, and as you can see, DATAPEERS has a very simple interface. As you'll see, it's relatively easy to use, even though some of the features hide some complex algorithms. The usage, the final user has this interface which simplifies a lot the work that needs to be done in order to manipulate the abstractions we want to do and the subsets we want to create. So the first step in using this application, we need to create a metadata model, which is a representation of our original database. So in order to do that, we go here to the left panel where we say models, and we create a new model. I'm going to use a small database, so we don't have extractions taking too long. But the usage, the extractions usually take a little bit more time than what we're going to see here if we have a huge database or comprised of several tables, etc. So the next step is to create a connection to the actual database. Okay. We only need to configure this connection once for each model. And once we've defined our connection, we will see the available schemas from that database connection. I'm using an Oracle database for this presentation. So I have here my database. As you can see, we have here listed several schemas that are available on this database, and we can select one or more schemas for this metadata representation. I'm going to select only this schema, this demo schema. Okay. And we now can create our model. So, as you can see, our model is listed here on the left panel. And before going into the model editing screen, which is the screen where we define the model rules, I'm going to give you an overview just of some of the functionalities present on this main screen. So here we have our models area. Then we have our connections manager, which lists the connections available. And each time we create a new model, we have to define a connection for that model. And then we can manage those connections in this tab. So then we have a backups section, which can be used to manually create a backup of our metadata representation of our model, but also DATAPEERS creates automatic backups when relevant changes are made to the model. Then we have our security tab, which simply is a list of the users that have access to the platform. And we have different types of permissions to access the platform. So currently I'm logged in as an admin. I can do anything on the platform, but we can also create users that can only edit the model, but can't actually perform data extractions and uploads. And we can also create users that can perform those actions, but cannot delete the model or edit the connections, etc. And then simply an About tab. So I'm going to show you how we can edit this model we've just created. So we select the model and we click on this pencil icon. And now we're on the model editing screen. As you can see here on the left, we have several tabs related to the functionalities or the actions we can perform on the model editing screen. I'm going through each one of these tabs, explaining how this works or what's the purpose of each functionality, and then I'm going to go back and actually use some of them so we can have a better understanding of how all this works together. So here in the metadata model tab, we simply have listed all the tables we have within our model. If I double click a table, I can see additional information about that table. So I have a summary of the table, the number of fields, the number of relations, etc. I can have an actual representation of the fields and the data types of each field. I can see indexes. I can see the relations. I can see also the business rules of this table. And the last tab regards to DATAPEERS functionality. So as we don't have any scrambler defined yet, we don't see anything in this tab yet. Okay, so the next tab is a little bit complex at this point. This is used to create a relation between two different schemas. So say we have two different databases that somehow are connected through, or we want to connect through business logic. We can create a virtual relation between those two models or between two specific tables within DATAPEERS. So this is a little bit more complex at this point, but simply is used to create a virtual representation of a relation between two distinct databases. Then we have our model parameters tab, and this is used to create a filtering parameter that will be applied to a certain field within a certain table. We can create as many model parameters as we like, and then in the extraction process we can define filtering values for this parameter.